How you guys doing? I'm Mr. Kamiyama, and I'm going to show you guys today how to sketch the graph of a line using a linear equation. All right, so first of all, what we need to know is we need to understand that our equation is right here, but let me rewrite it for you. It's y equals 3 over 2x plus 1. Now, in this equation, there's several parts to this equation that we need to know. We need to understand, first of all, that this number in front of the x, this number right here is called the slope, okay? It's very important we understand that that is a slope. Now, the other thing we need to know is that this number right here, this 1, has a special name, and what it's called is the y-intercept, okay? It is the y-intercept. Now, you need to know these two numbers because these two numbers will help you graph the equation. Now, first off, the first thing you will always graph is the y-intercept, okay? So this number right here, you are going to graph. Now, if we look, the y-intercept, what it is, it's where the line crosses the y-axis. Now, where is the y-axis? Well, the y-axis, if you look at your graph right here, your y-axis is right here. It is the line that goes up and down. It is the vertical axis that we have on this graph. Now, so if we look, our y-intercept is 1. So what this means is we start at the origin, which is the middle, and it's going to tell us to go up if it's positive or down if it's negative. Now, because it's a positive 1, I'm going to go up 1 and put a point right there at the positive 1. Once again, it's a positive 1, so I went up 1. So this number tells you to go up or down. It does not tell you to go right or left. Okay, please, that number never go right or left, only up and down. Now, so what we do next is now we have to graph our slope. Okay, now the slope is interesting because these two numbers tell you where to go from this point. It's like giving you directions. The number on top, or the numerator of the slope, what it does is it's going to tell you, this number right here tells you whether you go up or down from your point. So if this is a positive number, you will go up. If it's a negative number, you will go down. This number right here, for us, it's much easier always just to go right. Now you could go left, and you can do that as well, but for us, let's just go right to learn how to do this. So from our point, our y-intercept, we are going to take this point and we are going to go up 3 and to the right 2. So look what we do. We started our point right here. We're going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go to the right 2. 1, 2. And we put our point. Now you see we have those 2 points there. Now with those 2 points, if we connect them, we will have created our line. So watch. We take this point, we connect it, let it run all the way through the graph. Make it happy. Make the graph nice and long. Okay? If your lines aren't perfect, make them as straight as you can. But it doesn't matter if they're perfect. So we're going to draw our line, and we have correctly sketched the graph of that equation. So to recap, let me explain what we did. The first thing we did, we graphed our y-intercept, which is 1, which told us to go up 1. After that, we graphed our slope, which was 3 over 2. So from this point, we went up 3 because it's positive, 1, 2, 3, then went to the right 2, 1, 2, and then from that point right there, we put our point, and then we drew our line. And that is how we graphed that. Now, we did 1, but sometimes our equation is going to look a little different. So let's take a look at another problem that we may have. So take a look at this one here. this is number 2 on you guys' worksheet, okay? Now, if we take a look at number 2, okay, I'm going to erase this right here. Now, let's take a look at our equation. I got y equals negative 2x plus 5. Now, what's different about this equation? Well, one thing that everyone should notice about this equation that's different is that our slope is not a fraction. So what we need to do is we need to make this a fraction first. So how do we do that? Does anybody know? Oh, I forgot I'm not teaching the class. But what we do to make this into a fraction is we simply put a 1 under it. So what we do is now we created a fraction. We got negative 2 over 1. So now we have our slope, because our slope always needs to be a fraction. Now, we're going to graph. Well, what do we graph first? We graph the y-intercept first. Now, does this 5 tell me to go up 5, down 5, left 5, right 5? Well, remember what I said. This always tells you to go up or down. And because it's positive, we're going to go up 5. So to start our graph, we start at the origin, which is the middle, and we go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here, and we're going to put a point. Now that's our first point. Now what do we do next? Well, now we have to graph our slope. Now remember, this number on top of our slope, this tells us whether we need to go up or down. This number on the bottom, remember, I said that it's going to tell us how many times to go right. So this right here is going to tell us how many times to go right. Now, so let's take a look. Let's graph it. We graphed our first point of 5, which is our y-intercept. Now, we're going to go down 2, and then we're going to go to the right 1 from our point. Do not start from the origin again. Once you make your point of your y-intercept of 5, you start from that point, not the origin. So, here we go. We go down 2 to the right 1. So take a look now. From here, we go down 2, 1, 2, and then to the right 1. Boom, right here. Now, once we got this, we have our 2 points. Now we can just connect these dots, and we'll have our line. So take a look now. Watch. We're going to connect these dots. Look at that. Boy, that's a pretty line, isn't it? And there we go. That's our line of y equals negative 2x plus 5. Okay? Now, if y'all take a look at number 3, you're going to see something different. So let's take a look at number 3 real quick, can we? Look at this. Y equals negative x minus 2. Now, obviously, this is a different problem. Okay? It looks a little different. So let's go ahead and let's erase all this stuff here. And let's graph it. So here we go. First off, what I'm going to do, just like before, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rewrite the equation right here so you guys can see it better. Y equals negative x minus 2. Boy, that's going to be tough. We got a lot of negatives. But look, what we do first is, remember, our slope is in front of x. There's nothing there but a negative. We got to make this into a fraction. So what we can put in front of any variable, and it won't change the value, is a 1. So I can take and I can put a 1 in front of the x, like so. Notice, I put it in between the negative and the x. That way I know that's a negative 1. Now, how do I turn this into a fraction? Because it got to be a fraction. I could put a 1 underneath it, like so. So now I have my slope and I have my y-intercept. Now, if I'm looking at this graph, I'm going to have to graph it. Now, to graph this, we need to make sure we graph our y-intercept first. Now, our y-intercept right here, people, is negative 2. So from our origin, do we go up 2, down 2, left 2, right 2? Well, in a negative 2 situation, remember, this always tells us to go up or down. I keep writing this because you need to understand. A lot of people go left and right. There is no left and right action here for the y-intercept. You need to make sure you only go up or down. Negative 2, so I start at the origin, and what do? I go down 2. 1, 2, put a point. Now I have to graph my slope? Well, my slope is -1, 1. Remember, the number on top always tells us how many times we go up or down, and then a number on bottom is going to tell us how many times we go to the right. Now, if we look, where do we start? Do we start our slope from the point or from the origin? From the point, because if you start from the origin, you're doing it wrong. You have to start from your y-intercept. So your slope is right here. You start at the y-intercept, you're going to go down 1 and then to the right 1. So from this point, you go down 1, boom, to the right 1, right there. Now you have your 2 points. So what do you do now? Well, now what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to connect your points all the way through. You see that? Now, we just graphed that line. So we graphed y equals -x minus 2. And once again, to recap, make your slope, if you do not have anything in front of the x, you need to include the 1. Then make sure you put the 1 underneath to make it that fraction, so you know how many times you go up or down, and then you know how many times you go right. Now the rest of this worksheet you guys are going to be doing is very similar to these 3 problems you're going to have that I showed you how to do. So please, look at that worksheet and graph these next few problems, and hopefully this made some sense. If not, I apologize. I did the best I could. So thank you very much and have a great advisory period.